New year, new panelists. The Extra Point is back, starting right now. Welcome back, Clemson Nation. For now, Griffin, our new host of the Extra Point, is out with an illness, so I will be stepping in temporarily just for this one time for the first episode of the Extra Point. But it's a new year, and we are so excited to get this thing kicked off. So first, nevertheless, let's introduce our panelists. So we have 4 new panelists, 4 freshmen, and then 1 veteran. So first, let's start off with the vet, and that's...
Oh, Daniel, me, the vet.
Daniel Dungan, and then we have Brett Porter, Brian Warner, David Polli, and Ashlyn Myers. So welcome to the show, guys. We are so excited to get this thing kicked off. And like I said, college football, that just kicked off last weekend. We had Notre Dame versus Navy, and then USC versus San Jose State. But things, they're really going to start ramping up right now. So let's start with some pick'ems right now. So Daniel, you want to start us off? We have Florida at Utah. What do we got?
I got the Utah Utes because, Florida lost Anthony Richardson. They're just not a very solid program yet. Give me Utah.
I also got Utah. 25-1 at home in their last 26. I don't see that changing here.
Big time. I'm going to go with the Gators. I'm going to go with the Gators for a couple reasons. A couple reasons is they bring in Graham Mertz, the transfer quarterback from Wisconsin. He was okay there, and I think he'll be pretty good under Billy Napier's scheme. But the big thing is Bryson Barnes will be starting at quarterback for the Utah Utes because Cam Rising is out, and their starting tight end, Brant Kuth, is out as well. Who is Bryson Barnes? I don't really know. All I know is last year he was terrible in the bowl game when he had to fill in for Rising, and he was awful in his first career start against Washington State with under 200 passing yards against the 115th out of 131 FBS teams' worst pass defense in the entire country. Give me Florida all day.
So that's kind of hard to go after, but I'm going to go with Florida too. Because Cam Rising's out, and that's really hard for me to say as a Tennessee fan because I hate Florida, but I think they're going to win.
I'm actually going back. I'm going with Utah. I understand. I heard the news too. Cam Rising was questionable, not expected to start. But be honest, one thing that's not questionable is Utah's defense, and I think that's something that hasn't been brought up. Looking at a little bit of the research beforehand, I actually saw that there are some reports that this actually may be the most talented and the most talented as well as most physical defense in the history of the Utes program, especially under the tutelage of Kyle Whittingham, who's their head coach, and Morgan Scally, I don't remember how to pronounce his name exactly, the defensive coordinator. So I actually think that Utah will be able to shut down Florida's defense, or offense.
Okay, yeah, so last year that was one heck of an instant classic in Gainesville. Now it's going over to Utah, Cameron Rising out. We'll see what happens. But moving on, so we have Colorado versus number 17 TCU. Brian, let's start you off on that one. What you got?
Write this quick. I am going prime time all the way. Colorado, absolutely. TCU, I know they're ranked. They're the sole ranked team in this matchup. But to be honest, they lost a lot of talent in the draft. I believe, if I'm correct, it was their starting QB, 2 wide receivers, a cornerback, an offensive guard, and a starting linebacker, possibly even more. So I think just with that flux of talent just leaving completely, they probably have some stepping up. We don't know it yet. But I think Primetime will definitely have his team ready. It's a whole new system over in Colorado, a whole new coach. And I'm really excited to see it, and I think they're going to go out and win the game.
I'm going to go TCU. I think they're going to win. Yeah, that's it.
I mean, I'm right on board. We're in sync today. I'm going TCU. Give me TCU. Chandler Morris actually beat out Max Duggan, the TCU starting quarterback last year, for the starting job. I do think Colorado will make a bowl game. They're only projected around 3.5. They're over and under 3.5 wins for this season. I think they'll smash that over, get to a bowl game. I think this game will be decently close, but give me TCU at home. Fans are fired up after going to the national championship last year, even though they got blown out. That just gives them more to come back to this year, and Chandler Morris, he'll get it done.
I got Colorado. I mean, come on, Deion Sanders, Schroeder Sanders.
guy.
This is going to be a good team. They're bringing in a whole bunch of transfers, new team from last year, and I think they're going to shock some people.
I'm going to go with TCU because they've still got that solid program from last year and the year before that. Colorado bringing in a bunch of new guys. There's going to be growing pains. It'll be a close game, but give me TCU.
Yeah, so a lot of new things going on at Colorado. Don't sleep on Travis Hunter, too. So it will be a very interesting matchup. And moving on, so we have the Battle of the Carolinas. We have North Carolina versus our good old friend, U of SC. How about Brett? Let's get you started on that one. What you got?
All right, I'm kicking things off here with South Carolina. I think Spencer Rattler is going to have a big year this year. He came out of high school, one of the best QBs in his class, if not the best. And, I mean, little down season last year compared to some expectations, but I think he's going to have a great year this year. This is going to be an offensive battle, but I think South Carolina will come out on top.
Yeah, I'm going to go with UNC. I mean, there's a lot going on that campus right now, and I think that they're going to be able to rally around the emotion and go behind their second best. They got the second best quarterback in the entire country behind reigning Heisman winner Caleb Williams. They got Drake May. Drake May is a total stud. They're going to use that emotion on that campus. They're going to heel strong, and then they're going to keep it going. They're going to beat USC, and it's going to be a high-scoring game with Drake May and the Tar Heels coming out on top.
So we're not in sync anymore. I definitely think USC is going to win. Spencer Rattler, super good season last year. They beat Clemson last year. I believe we beat UNC last year. So based on that, I think USC is going to pull it out.
I'm going to North Carolina. Well, I'm not going, but I'm going with North Carolina. Honestly, I think the game's going to be closer than many people think. Looking at the rankings, obviously, with one team ranked or not, you always expect the ranked team to win and to come out with a pretty good win. But I think South Carolina is just gritty. They're tough. They don't quit. I mean, we saw that last year against Clemson. So I'm going with North Carolina to win it, and I think that they're going to come out on top in the Battle of the Carolinas.
I'm siding with North Carolina, mainly because of Drake May and that offense. The only thing that worries me a bit about North Carolina is their defense, pretty lacking, but
Yeah.
give me North Carolina. Yeah.
Alrighty. Yeah, that will be a big one, too. Obviously, I think we want to cheer for North Carolina because who wants to see USC win? So moving on, we have West Virginia at number 7, Penn State. 7:30 p.m. kick, NBC. It's a big one. Brian, kick us off.
So I'm going, which, I mean, to me it feels like a no-brainer just because of how good this program is, but it's Penn State. I love James Franklin. He's one of my favorite coaches. Obviously, Dabo Swinney's better, in my opinion. But I do like James Franklin. I like what he's done for the program. And I think going in, I personally, if I was a Penn State fan, I'd be disappointed with a win that is not greater than 10 points. I think you should at least be going in there and coming out with a win with at least a 10-point win, or a 10-point lead. So I'm going Penn State.
For sure. I totally agree. If it's not a blowout, I will be shocked.
Yeah, no, big-time blowout time. Penn State is going to win by 20 plus. I guarantee it. It's going to be a big-time whomping for Penn State. Nittany Lions totally going to take it to West Virginia. West Virginia is probably going to be the worst team in the entire Big 12 this season. Their head coach, Neil Brown, was going to be fired last year, but the university did not have the money to pay for his buyout, so that's the only reason he's still there. They got one of the best running back rooms in the country, and they're replacing Sean Clifford, more of a game manager, with a big-time star in Drew Aller. Give me the Nittany Lions all day, every day, and twice on Saturday.
I mean, I got Penn State as well. I mean, Singleton's back at running back. I'm excited to see what Drew Aller can do. Limited time last year. He played well when he was in, but I think Penn State all the way on this one.
I have no reason, just West Virginia.
Nice.
Love that, love that. And I love the confidence from David on that one. He seemed very confident on Penn State. And now, this is the biggest battle of the weekend, hands down. We have LSU, Brian Kelly and his guys, taking on Florida State Sunday night on ABC. This is a huge deal. Daniel, what you got?
Give me Florida State. I like Mike Norvell, and man, they played each other last year, right? Beginning of the season.
They did. It was a great game.
That was an amazing game. It's going to be close like that again. I just think both teams have gotten better since then, and Mike Norvell's program's been there longer. I'm going to trust that team over LSU.
Give me FSU as well. I mean, Brian Kelly doesn't win against top 10 opponents, and I don't think that's going to change here.
Alabama?
Ooh.
Doesn't usually. Didn't have a good record.
Yep.
And, I mean, Notre Dame, he barely beat anyone top 10. They were something like terrible record against top 10 opponents in his stint there.
No, Brian Kelly, good coach, and I'm really high on the quarterback, Jaden Daniels for LSU, but I'm going Florida State. I'm going Florida State because I think the roster is loaded, and LSU is dealing with two big suspensions. A running back is suspended, and probably one of the best defensive players in the country besides their player, Harold Perkins. They got Mason Smith, another guy on the defense out. Harold Perkins, the best defensive player in the country. Mason Smith not far behind, but I'm going Florida State. You know, LSU's missing those key players, and Florida State totally loaded. Johnny Wilson, star wide receiver, 6'7", and they got, of course, a great quarterback. And yeah, I think they got maybe one of the other best defensive players in the country and defensive lineman, Jared Verse. Give me the Noles.
I think it could definitely go either way. Definitely going to be a close one. I think LSU's definitely gotten better since last season, but I think FSU has gotten way better. Definitely have a lot of potential. Definitely could be in the running. Hopefully not to be the best team in the ACC.
I am shocked. I really thought I was going to have one more person than LSU. I do not buy the Seminole hype. I'm sorry. They didn't even win the ACC championship last year, and they're coming in higher than Clemson. I'm sorry about that. So I don't know what you guys are.
I mean, a little bit of it is also I do want Florida State coming in undefeated to Death Valley, so they don't have any motivation.
That's gonna be a good one.
So they don't have any motivation.
They got to win first.
Oh, totally.
I don't see that happening in LSU.
I hope they do.
LSU's gonna come back. They're gonna get their revenge from last year. They had heartbreak. It was awful.
Totally.
But to be honest, I love Jaden Daniels.
I love Jaden Daniels.
He's improved every year. I'm not a big fan of Brian Kelly, but he's still a good coach. Correct. You got to admit, you take him over many of other coaches. I don't know. They had one good recruiting year, and all of a sudden FSU's, oh my God, they're going to win the championship. I just can't deal with it. So that's me. But I definitely take LSU on this side. I think it will be close. I think it'll be another nail biter, probably 2-3 points. But I'm taking LSU.
Man, enough about Florida State, seriously. This is our conference. This is Clemson's conference. And speaking of Clemson, we have number 9 Clemson at Duke, Monday night, ESPN, 8 p.m. kick. Who we got? Who wants to kick us off?
CLEMSON, baby. Our team's better. I like at every position. Duke could pull up an upset, but I don't see it. It's not going to happen.
I think I'm going to be with everyone else here. Clemson.
I feel like if you pick Duke, you're getting kicked off the show.
Yeah.
I'm going Clemson. I think it will be tight, though. Mike Elko, great head coach for Duke. You saw what they did with them last year. Riley Leonard, their quarterback, one of the most underrated players in the entire country. He's phenomenal. And Elko, a defensive wizard coming from Texas A&M. I think Cade might struggle early. But I'm a Cade guy. I'm a Cade believer. I'm happy with the decision over this offseason. I think we will pull out a win, but I do think it'll be tighter than a lot of people think. Monday night, Clemson night. Let's go Tigers.
Let's go Tigers. If I put something else down, I think I'd get kicked off. But I for sure, Clemson all the way.
Probably sound like a broken record. I'm going Clemson, obviously. Go orange and purple. I think it's another game that's going to be close, right. Obviously. I think Duke's a lot better than people give them credit for. But I do have to say, I have a classmate that went to Duke. He's playing for football. Shout out Kevin O'Connor. Great guy. So it's kind of like tough because you want to root for your classmate, but I'm definitely going Clemson.
Shout out Aiden Wallace, Duke wrestler from my high school. Good friend. Love you, buddy, but we're going to kick you this weekend.
Alrighty, interesting picks right there. I'm excited to see what's going to come down this weekend. But let's move on to the next topic. Let's talk buy or sell. So Archie Griffin, the only player in NCAA history to win back-to-back Heisman trophies. Will Caleb Williams be the second person ever to accomplish that feat? Anyone?
You want me to?
You get it, Brian.
You could
I'm going
pick it off.
Sell, and it's for the exact reason you said. The last guy to do back-to-back, let alone win 2 Heisman trophies, was Archie Griffin, who played running back for Ohio State. In that year, 1974 to 1975, let's give it a little bit of historic background. Jaws, the movie, the most famous one, just watched it a few days ago, which is why it was on my mind, was made in 1973. The last person to win 2, got those 2 the 2 years following Jaws. I do not buy this. I sell it completely. I would sell it. I'm going to use David's rod. Sell it every day and twice on Saturday because I just am not going to buy it. I actually personally think it's going to be Drake May. I think Drake May has great potential.
Phenomenal.
He wasn't too far off of Caleb Williams last year in yards and touchdowns and all, but I'm definitely selling this.
For sure. I definitely sell it too. I think since it's been so long and talent in 1975 compared to talent today, like stuff has gotten so much more competitive. Like it's just not going to happen. It just isn't heard of.
Yeah, I'm going to sell. Big time, I'm going to sell. USC, the only thing that has it going for Caleb Williams is if he puts up a similar season, USC didn't really accomplish a lot last year. It was the first on the scene. They didn't win the Pac-12. They didn't go to the playoffs. So maybe if they win the Pac-12, go to the playoffs, something like that, he could win it, improving on the season last year. But no way. He would have to have an astronomically better statistical season than he did last year to win it. Voter fatigue is just way too real of a thing, especially in college football media. Not Caleb Williams. I love Drake May. I think he's awesome, but I don't know how good North Carolina is going to be. I think it's a lot of the team has to be really good for you to get there. So Carolina needs at least 10 wins, and I don't think they're going to get it. But I'm selling Caleb Williams.
Before I sorry.
Go for it. Yeah.
I actually looked it up. Michael Penix Jr., the quarterback for Washington, actually had more yards last year than Caleb Williams
Yep.
did. And
He's
I
phenomenal.
He did have a few more interceptions. He had probably about 10, 11, I think it was, touchdowns left, or less touchdowns. But, I mean, you have a lot of talent over there, a lot of talent that hasn't been broadcasted as much over the TV and television and all of the famous networks. So that was one I wanted to bring up. But yeah, sorry.
I'm going to be alone here, but I'm going by for Caleb Williams. I mean, he's the best player in college football right now. I mean, people are saying Drake May, but there's no way. You can't tell me you'd take Drake May over Caleb Williams if you could pick one quarterback right now. And I just don't. I think he can do it again.
It's just really hard to repeat that. Like everybody else said, except you, I'm sorry. But yeah, it's hard to repeat that, especially since it hasn't happened since Jaws. So.
Yeah. I do want to say, it's not like we all think Caleb Williams is a very good quarterback. It's just that it's very tough.
I think he could be a finalist. Like, that's a very real thing.
I think the Heisman has gone away from best player in the country to best quarterback on a pretty good team.
It's like a notable team. Like
almost a popularity contest.
Right.
MVP for NFL has kind of gone into the fact that it's now like people are saying, oh no, it's now
It's a quarterback award.
Yeah.
But
All right. Well, if we see Caleb Williams with that second Heisman Trophy, just remember, Tigervision heard it here first from Brett. Now, moving on to the other football. So, the undisputed GOAT, Leo Messi, joined Inter Miami this summer. Right now, they are second to last in their conference, and their odds of making the playoffs is under 5%. But do you think Leo Messi will lead Inter Miami to the MLS playoffs?
Who's got?
Buy or sell?
I got a pretty strong take. Give me sell. No way. He's the best player in the world. I get it. He's one of the best, He's a little old, but doesn't matter when he's playing against MLS competition. But here are some of these stats. The MLS plays 34 games in a season. They have 11 games left, Inter Miami does, to cover 11 points to get in that wild card spot. They're at 20. They're at 21. Chicago's in 9th at 32 in the conference. They are 14th out of 15th in the Eastern Conference. They play 7 current playoff teams in those 11 games to get to the playoffs. No way. Messi's awesome. Inter Miami does not have it around him to do it. No way.
Okay. I mean, I've really never watched MLS, I'm going to be honest, but I still got by here. Messi's just so much better than everyone else in this league. If anybody can lead them to the playoffs right now, it's him.
I'm gonna agree. I definitely buy. I buy. Because Messi's the GOAT. He has scored a goal in every single game that he's played with this team. Absolutely destroyed Charlotte FC, who's like a pretty good team. They're pretty solid. He got the 4th goal. there's a lot of people rallying behind them, and like that's what you need to win a championship, and they have it. So I'd buy.
I'm a believer, you know? Let's go buy. That's just me. After hearing the stats of David might be right. I don't know. But I like to keep hopes high. I like to be optimistic. I'm going to go buy. Messi's great. Why not add to your awards? You know, it's an accomplishment. It won't be a physical award, but it will be an accomplishment. And I love what he's done for MLS. I haven't watched as much, but now that Messi's there, I might be watching a little bit more. But it's nice to see that it's starting to grow in the U.S., and so I'm just going to be optimistic about it.
Let's go.
Yeah, one of the greatest soccer players in history playing in American soccer. I'll buy it. As Han Solo said, never tell me the odds. Let's go Messi.
I mean, Messi's basically done it all. So if anyone could do it, why not him? So lastly, going back to the other football again, Clemson. Clemson will make the college football playoff, buy or sell. It's been a while now, but what do you guys have to say?
Me first.
I got it. Bye. I'm a Cade believer. I'm going to ride this train. They're making the playoffs.
Oh yeah, I'll buy too because oh shoot, I forgot the OC's name. What's his name?
Garrett Riley?
Garrett Riley. Yeah, we brought in Garrett Riley and had a pretty strong recruiting class for linebackers and wide receivers. So I think we're all in, all set.
I'm buying it. Obviously, I'm buying it. Now, am I going to say they're going to be 1 or 2? Probably not. I think they're going to go 3 or 4. They're probably going to be fighting. I think I had down here. I thought they were going to be fighting probably with about LSU, Alabama, and USC for 3 and 4. I think 1 and 2 might be Georgia and Michigan. That is simply because they've all been there. Michigan's not going to win it, but Michigan gets there. So I think they're going to be fighting for it. I think they're going to get probably 3rd, I think, is what I would go with. But yeah, I'm definitely buying them to get in the playoffs.
I agree, for sure. I'd buy it. I think we got a good recruiting class. We got Will Shipley. I think since Will's here, we're all in. I got it.
Yeah, I'm going to buy. I think Clemson has been under-talked about by the media. There's so much hype around Florida State. All the other ACC. Is Clemson done? Is the reign over? No, I don't think so. The wide receivers are unproven, but that does not mean that you cannot make the playoff with a group of unproven wide receivers. We see that again and again with the talent that we have here. I'm a Cade believer. Dabo's getting us back to the promised land. Let's go Tigers.
So that wraps up our buy or sell section. Now this is my personal favorite. This is the hashtag game. So I'm going to give some news going on in the sports world, and our panelists will respond with a hashtag. So let's start off with this one. Former 49ers top pick Trey Lance was traded to the Dallas Cowboys for a 4th-round pick. We can't forget that insane blockbuster deal that allowed the 49ers to get him. So anyone, what were we thinking?
I went hashtag net loss, but yeah, they just had to cut ties with Trey Lance. They had to get something out of him, even though they spent 3 first-round picks, which, if we look at it, I think the Dolphins got that right. They ended up with Tyreek Hill,
Huge haul.
Jalen Waddle, Bradley Chubb,
Jalen
and
Waddle,
another guy.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah. So, I mean, you just gotta cut your ties, cut your losses, and move on at this point.
And for the Cowboys, I got a hashtag steal here. Trey Lance, we haven't seen him play a lot, but I mean, he was a 1st-round pick. He's a good player. I mean, I think having him as a backup QB option for Dak is just a good situation to be in.
I got a similar belief to you, but I went hashtag Jerry Jones. This is the most Jerry Jones move that I've ever seen. Oh, I have a quarterback that I paid at the time the biggest contract in the NFL. Let's go get another athletic quarterback to back him up. So if he keeps throwing interceptions, we got someone to light a fire under him and keep it going. Hashtag Jerry Jones.
Plus, Will Greer was looking good.
Will Greer looked great. They had to cut him.
I got hashtag that's tough for him because if I was an amazing player in the NFL, the Cowboys are the last team that I would want to play for. I would never.
America's team.
He
don't care.
said when he got traded to the Cowboys, Trey Lance,
He was
that he was
happy.
super excited about
And
it.
that's
yeah.
just, it's okay to be wrong.
Right.
I mean, but you just got to feel bad for him in San Francisco, though, of what happened. I mean, goes down with an injury, then comes back, and it's no longer his job anymore. Some random Mr. Irrelevant is in for him.
Mr. Relevant now.
Before I say my hashtag, where's Ben DiNucci? What happened to Ben DiNucci?
He got cut from the Broncos.
No, I know he did, but I love that man. I mean,
Was
he
he
went
in
to
the
James
XFL?
Madison, which is where my sister goes, so I was like, I always had a tie to him. Yeah, he's on America's team. But I go a little bit longer. Hashtag experience over talent. This guy undeniable, great talent. He was looking to be, I think, if I remember correctly, back on the draft 2021, they were comparing him to Lamar Jackson.
Totally.
They were comparing his running ability. The problem was that he didn't have enough talent, and it sounds familiar because Anthony Richardson does not have a lot of experience either. So to me, I want experience over talent because he got beat out. So Trey Lance gets drafted 3rd round. They do a whole haul, end up being an awful deal for the 49ers did, but great for everyone else that was involved. However, he has this ton of talent, only 17 games of experience, and he ends up getting hurt, sadly, gets healthy, gets hurt again, and ends up getting beat out by Brock Purdy. Now, Brock Purdy played, I believe, 5 years at Iowa State and started for, I think, 3 or 4 of them. I mean, they started for a pretty good time. He didn't have a lot of athletic ability. He didn't have a lot of talent, but he had experience. Well, they go into camp this year, and they have Brock Purdy, Sam Darnold, Trey Lance. They got rid of Jimmy Garoppolo. Well, he got beat out by, again, Brock Purdy. Obviously, Kyle Shanahan said you'd have to die in order for
Purdy's job.
overtaking. Yep. Well, Sam Darnold beat out Trey Lance for the job, but what does Sam Darnold have? 3 years of experience. So for me, Sam Darnold, Brock Purdy aren't the most athletic, but they have a ton of experience which helped them get that job. And as much as I hate this for Trey Lance, I am excited to see him in Dallas because if Dak ends up throwing a lot of picks and ends up doing really bad, I'm going to be interested to see him with CeeDee Lamb and Tony Pollard and Deuce Vaughn back there, and I'm going to be excited to watch that.
Yeah, definitely interesting trade for sure. I think it's a very low-risk move for the Cowboys, and I'm a fan. So this was arguably the biggest news I've heard in the past week. So the World Athletics Championships, that just went down for track and field all around the world, and the 3-time gold medalist from Budapest, Noah Lyles, in quote said, NBA players cannot call themselves world champions. David, what do you think about that phrase?
So I've been struggling on this hashtag, but I'm going to go with hashtag looking for clicks. This guy's looking for clicks. He knows that when he says this, we're going to be talking about track and field. Great, he's a great athlete, great performer, won all of his events. U.S. won the total. It was phenomenal. But in America, we kind of care more about football or the NBA that gets more coverage than track and field. So he'll bring some to track and field. But he was looking for clicks there. I mean, he was talking, he was going crazy in the interview. You listen to the whole thing. He says a lot of stuff not only about the NBA, but other American sports, about world championships and stuff like that. So he was looking for clicks, and the NBA can absolutely, and other American leagues, call themselves world champions. It's just the amount of talent, all the other foreign players coming here, especially with the NFL, the three best and most populous and best quality of football, American football, are in America, right? So 3 most, not top 2. So you could even go 4. We'll go NFL, XFL, USFL, college football. Will all beat any other Italian, German, anything, any expansive teams, So world champs, yes. This guy looking for clicks.
Sorry, you go ahead. No, you can go ahead. We're kind of on the same wavelength.
I am completely against that. I say hashtag truth. That's the reason why I want to go after David, because we had this whole conversation on sports news media class today. It took up 40 minutes of our class. So had a nice, fun time. But I honestly kind of agree with it. Actually, not kind of. I completely agree with it. You're looking at a small, almost like if we're bring statistics in, a small sample size of a whole population. I get they're all the top players in the world, but they're all from different nations. And in order to be world champs, you got to play with the same people in your nation. At least that's how I take it. You think of Olympics. It's a team of people from the same country. And when you're saying world champs, football, obviously America is number 1 in football. But you look at NBA, FIBA, I believe it's FIBA, right? FIBA is on the rise. Obviously, some of their players have transferred over into NBA because it's just a lot more talent based on it. But I do think that if they were to go out and play, we had the conversation obviously, that they might have an NBA team go out and play there. Denver would probably win, but I don't think they'd be world champs. You have to be able to be with people from your same nation in order to count that, in my question, which is why I like FIBA, or the FIBA World Cup, or World, I don't remember exactly.
Ryan wants to see the Denver Nuggets blow out Real Madrid by 40 points.
Hey, if they do, I'll eat crow. I'll eat it. I'll be like, okay, my bad. But for me, you need to prove it first. There's a lot of talk. You got to prove it first. So.
I gave a little classic hashtag LOL to that. I mean, the Denver Nuggets would not lose to some random European team. if like a European team wanted to come play them, it would be miserable for them. All the players from Europe come here. They're the best team in the world. They should call themselves world champions.
Yeah, I agree. I went #facts because, like, are you really a world champion if there's no competition? Like, it just like it doesn't add up. Like, you can technically be a world champion, but the people doing track against like all these like super fast people from all over the world, that's so much of a bigger deal than beating some little tiny team. Like,
I went #. I mean, he's not entirely wrong. I mean, there's like athletes are from different countries and stuff, but there's a lot more that goes into winning a championship than just the athletes. You got the franchises and where they're based, most of them in the Americas or Canada. And yeah, I mean, there's just a lot more factors that go into it. So you can't really call yourself world champion if you're based in America or your whole league is based in America.
I mean, it's all marketing, and I think we all know that. You know, it's like if the Denver Nuggets or the Toronto Raptors or anybody that wants to call themselves world champions to, you know, get more people, the NBA champions or the world champions, it'll get a little more transaction in the
Just brings in more money, right?
More clicks.
Sure. More clicks.
Yeah, definitely one of the more interesting things I saw on social media lately. And the one thing I have about this, why is everyone trying to tear each other down? Why can't we all be friends? Seriously, Noah Lyles is a phenomenal athlete, but the immediate backlash he got from guys such as Kevin Durant was just like insane. And I don't think it's good. Why can't we all be friends? But moving on, this was another really interesting one. Doug Peterson cut son, Josh, a tight end from the Jaguars, at NFL's 53-man roster deadline. Daniel, what do you think about that?
As #business. I mean, it's 53 spots. It's a highly competitive sport. You can't put your heart into it. You got to look at it as a business. And he could always stay on practice squad. So.
Yeah, I'll piggyback right on that. #clickbait. He's on the practice squad, guys. Like, he got picked up immediately after he got cut onto the Jaguars practice squad. It's just the NFL's changed the practice squad rules where some can actually be eligible for games and this and that. So it's just a way of, like, roster construction, saving money, putting everybody in the right ways. He's still on the team.
Yeah, like the Patriots 53-man roster had 11 O-line, and we cut Zappy and Malik, but they're on our practice squad.
You have no quarterback, but you got people on the practice. The practice squad is now just a glorified, like, extra 11 spots in your roster.
Especially after that 49ers game when they said, because that's who changed the rule. Now you can have 3 quarterbacks on a roster without it affecting like a NFL
Totally.
roster. So definitely interesting. But I mean, I can give my opinion.
Yep.
I was between 2. One's a little bit more serious. The other one I thought was a little bit more, crazy. But I said #respect. The other one I was looking at was #no nepotism because obviously it's his son. But to me, I think Doug Peterson showed that he doesn't care what connection you have with him. He doesn't care what you look like. He doesn't care really about anything other than how you play. And if you play well enough to get on the 53-man and you deserve it, he's going to give it to you. So that's how I like it. I definitely know their Thanksgiving dinner will be very interesting. And I saw one quote one time on Twitter. It was like yesterday, I think. And it said, I can only imagine someone says to the dad, Doug, you're going to cut the turkey. And then all of a sudden the son goes, no, but he will cut family or something like that. And it was like this whole thing. So it's going to be very interesting during their Thanksgiving dinner.
I don't know. I feel like the biggest thing he's got to worry about at Thanksgiving is Mrs. Peterson. How'd you cut my baby boy? How'd you cut my baby boy? She'll be on, Doug.
There'll be more than stuffing on the side. So it's going to be good, though.
For real. So I had 2. I just added another one. So I started with #FamilyFeud because I don't want to be at the family reunion after that, after my dad cut me from the NFL. Like, that's kind of making money off cutting your son. Kind of, mom's not going to be happy about that one. And then the second one, I did #CryToMommy because he's not going to talk to his dad after that.
I did #that's tough. I mean, I just can't imagine going into your dad's office and him firing you, basically. So, I mean, you see people on Hard Knocks, they get cut. Then they go call their dad, and he can't do that here.
Imagine walking out, you call your dad and leave the office. I feel so good, but I'm glad he got on the practice squad.
Yeah.
He can make his way.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
He'll be in games. He's totally fine. I think the relationship is going to be pretty good. It's a little clickbait.
Yeah, Brett's got a point. Like, I wonder how that went down since it was his dad, was it more like casual, or did he still do the old school, like call him in the office type thing? But who knows? He's on the practice squad, so Josh, it's all right for now. But lastly, this is a new addition to the show, and it's the write-in option. So we've been talking a lot about college football, but let's talk a little more about NFL. We have 3 stud quarterbacks coming in: Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson, and C.J. Stroud. Which rookie QB is going to take this league by storm? Who's it going to be? Out of each 3, who's it going to be? Daniel?
I went with Bryce Young. I still trust the Alabama quarterbacks have done pretty well recently. Ohio State, not so much. And Anthony Richardson's a little wild card. He's going to start. I'm interested to see how that's going to go. But I think Bryce Young's in the best position right now.
I got Bryce Young as well. I don't think he's the best quarterback out of these 3, but I just think he's in the best situation. I mean, he's got talent around him. He's got Thielen, DJ Chark, Hayden Hurst, Miles Sanders. He's got a good offense around him, and the other 2 can't say that, so that's why I'd go Bryce Young.
I also got Young. I think after the Panthers got rid of CMC last year and we're looking for some picks, I think this guy's exactly what they were hoping to get, exactly what they were looking for, and I think that he's going to be like the last piece in their puzzle to be like back on the board this year. I think it's going to be a good year for him.
Brian?
You go first, because I got nothing right now. Go ahead.
You got nothing? Well, I got a 4th option. How about instead of, no, and I'm not going Will Levis either. No Richardson, no Stroud, no Young, no Levis. Give me Clayton Tune. Clayton Tune, University of Houston quarterback. He's unreal. He's going to get a job starting for the Arizona Cardinals in place of Kyler Murray. He's going to sling it all. The Cardinals not the best talent, but this kid can flat out sling it. I don't think any other big quarterbacks are going to jump out, have a really hot start or great rookie years. Give me Clayton Tune.
He's on the Cardinals, right?
He's on the Cardinals. He's going to be their starting quarterback.
I did see they were also got Josh Dobbs.
They're looking at different options.
He's
but
definitely in the.
That's bold.
Clayton Tune.
Josh Dobbs, my God.
Air it out. Dana Holgerson, Houston. Let's go,
Wow.
Cougs, baby.
The Caleb Williams tank train, right? That's what Cardinals.
I think that's so incredibly
Hey, the last-
crazy if they tank for Caleb Williams with how much money they gave.
But remember, I believe the last tank before. I mean, Young was kind of a tank, but the main last tank train was Trevor Lawrence, I believe, if I'm correct. And you know how that turned out. So, either way, I'm going to have a very shocking answer. One that was not precedented. I didn't use the marker. There is nothing, because it is so open. And to me, there obviously the 3. You have the 3: Richardson, Young, and Stroud. Now I was rattling my head. I'm like, what the heck do I choose? I saw Young, and I'm like, Young, I think will be able to take over the storm against other teams, or over the league against other teams. I mean, obviously his processing and everything is just phenomenal. I mean, I think he scored a 98 on
on the composite intelligence test.
I can't remember what the name is,
Yeah,
but
right.
he scored very high. He's very good at reading. Sadly, he has some height issues, but I don't think that's going to affect him. But then I looked at Richardson, and I think Richardson is going to have an effect like Justin Fields. He's going to be able to throw the ball, as an incredibly strong arm. And I honestly think he's going to take over running-wise, almost like if you will, kind of like how Lamar Jackson did, where they start using him as a social media kind of marketing tool, because I think he's just going to do well. But the other one that I was stuck between wasn't even on the list, Aiden O'Connell out of the Raiders. He's going up against Jimmy Garoppolo, was phenomenal in the preseason. Now, granted, it's the preseason. You never know. But that is still time and still experience, and I think he finished only behind Kenny Pickett with passer rating, I believe. And obviously Kenny Pickett's the starter of the Steelers. So I'm between those 3. If I had to choose one, I think Richardson will be the first one to show up if they were to make an Instagram post. He's going to be the first one to really show it and be like, hey, this is the kid we're going to market because of this absurd talent. But if I go back to my other argument, because it sounds like I'm crossing myself, his experience might not be able to carry him to such a high level status, but his talent will definitely catch the eyes of people on social media. So that's where I'm going.
I'm big on Aiden O'Connell. I like him a lot. I mean, he's great playmaker, great at making decisions. He's phenomenal. The other quarterbacks really didn't get any love. Levis, he's not going to touch the field this year behind Tannehill and Malik Willis, so I totally get that. And no love for C.J. Stroud. I'm not a Stroud guy. Ohio State quarterbacks don't have a good track record, and the Texans are terrible. So
Stetson Bennett.
he
Showed out for the
really,
win.
dude.
He's let
100%. If Stafford's hurt, Stetson Bennett will act. He's a winner. He's a winner. No matter where he goes, he's a winner, and he can hit his first read.
I mean, I'll take Stetson Bennett over Max Dungan to be the face of the LA Colts, but
That's Max Dungan was cut
Max
from the
Duggan.
Chargers.
Was he cut?
He was cut from the Chargers
that.
as a
Okay.
7th round draft pick. Yeah, crazy move.
I don't know. Maybe the Cardinals pick him up.
Maybe.
Clayton Tune will have a little bit of a rivalry to go. A little
Nope,
bit of
Clayton
competition.
Tune all the way.
All right, real quick, let's talk about some basketball. We haven't talked about basketball all day, but James Harden, man, this guy has been in the headlines the past couple weeks about trade rumors and whatnot, and it's just ever since he's left the Rockets, he's just been off. I don't know. But so for this write-in, James Harden is blank to an NBA franchise. Ryan?
I'll go first. I feel like this is a little harsh, but I couldn't really think of any word really to describe it. I would say toxic. I've seen worse. Yeah, I would say, I'm like, he's toxic, but he's not the worst I've ever seen. Like, there are many other worse options to go with. But it just seems everywhere he goes, they have a good year, or at least a decent year, they make it somewhere. And then all of a sudden, it just all goes downhill. Like, I mean, he called the president a liar, I believe. And that was after, I think, a few months later, like a few months before, they were saying, oh, yeah, we have a great relationship. It's just, I don't know, the first song that comes to my head is Britney Spears' Toxic. That's the first
There we
thing
go.
that comes to my head. Exactly. And I'm like, I don't, that's the only word I can think of right now, but I feel like it's a little.
Like, I mean, just great player, just not someone you want to have around, I feel like, in a lot of locker rooms. And just not the guy that's going to be a good leader for you.
So I went with detriment because it just sounds like this guy's got making this league like a bunch of high school girly drama, and like I'm done with that. So I think he needs to be done with that too.
I went with overpriced third option. James Harden will never win an NBA championship unless he swallows his pride and becomes a third option on a championship team, taking way less money than whatever absurd amount of money that he got from the Rockets and he's going to try to get from the Sixers. He needs to swallow his pride, realize that if he doesn't perform in the playoffs, all he'll be is an overpriced third option on a championship team. And I don't think that he has the ego, considering all this toxic and detrimental like stuff that he does for the Rockets and the Sixers. I don't think he'll ever get to that point where he can face his ego and swallow his pride and be a third option. So, overpriced.
Yeah, I don't watch much NBA, but based off what y'all said, I went with good, not great. Good player, not a championship mindset. So that's pretty dangerous for a team.
I just remember them talking about the fat suit or whatever, and they're like, oh, he's bringing back the fat suit. This is him. Like, he's like coming back out with it. But I'm like, yeah, that's definitely.
And then lastly, I just had my first fantasy football draft last night, and I'm so excited about it. So let's talk some fantasy football. Hypothetically, you have the number 1 pick in fantasy. Tell me who you would take and why. Let's start with you, Brett.
Yeah, I would love to kick this one off. I'm ready for this one. No question for me, Cooper Kupp. I mean, I think this guy's just the best player in fantasy. I mean, 23 touchdowns in his last 26 games, 1,900 yards 2 years ago, in limited action last year, still 812 yards. This guy's just a good player, the best fantasy receiver you can get.
Love it. I love it.
I
I
see,
love it.
you
I mean,
wanna
I
Follow up on that, David?
I love
I see-
that.
I see it right now.
I'm a big Cooper Kupp. I took him first round last year. He was phenomenal for me when he was healthy. But I'm going to go with Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson led the league last year, and I don't think he'll repeat in leading every statistical category. But in fantasy, if you take the league leading receiver the year prior, he will be consistently over the past 20 years be in the top 5. So at least I know it's a safe pick. It's a good pick, and he's an incredibly talented player. He's going to get a big, this is probably extension contract year. So if he balls out, he's going to get a crazy extension. Kirk Cousins, I'm a believer. The Vikings offense throwing around the yard with Kevin O'Connell. I love Justin Jefferson.
So I'm going to start mine with like a little story. So last year in my fantasy league, I got second place. I fully think if I had this guy on my team, I would have won. Every time I looked at him, he was in the red zone, and it just really made me mad that I didn't get him. And I had the opportunity to. But I'm going to go with Austin Eckler. This year, I was praying for about a week before the draft that I was going to get the first pick. I did not. And I did not get him, but I really was upset about that.
I mean, Austin Eckler's just great, too, because of how much of an option he is out of the backfield. I mean, he gets, like, as many catches as a receiver and still gets the ball a ton. It's PPR, it's hard to
The
beat.
only thing that worries me about him this year is the contract situation. Right. I don't know if that'll boil over into, my hamstring hurts, can't play this game or anything like that.
I mean, he has had the hamstring issues, too, in the past.
Right, exactly.
I mean, a couple of times, like, he came back, then right away hurt again.
Yeah. He's also not a great power back on the goal line just because he's so small.
You want to go ahead, Dan?
The most annoying position to deal with in fantasy
I
is
love it.
tight
I love
end.
this.
Give me
I
Travis
love
Kelce.
this. I love this.
Travis Kelce.
I love
because
this.
the dude's a touchdown machine. He'll get you 20 points a game. And, like, if you draft a run back first round, very likely they're going to get injured at some point in the season. Kelce does not. Give me Kelce.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
I got him this year, so
You're lucky.
I'm gonna back you up.
He's so much better than every other tight end.
Yeah,
that it's
him
just
and
so
nobody
worth it in the
else.
first round.
Yeah.
I don't know. I had one idea in my mind, and then all of a sudden one hit me. I was going to say CMC. That's obviously kind of I feel like to me, one of the more obvious choices. Great. He's just like Austin Eckler, dual threat, actually triple threat if you count his passing ability. He could start, that show Ohtani how they like count him for pitching and batting, kind of.
Yeah.
Maybe they throw him in as a quarterback flex. I have no clue. But I love him. He has injury issues. I believe it's been like every other year he gets injured. He has a really good year and then he gets injured. He has a really good year and gets injured. So my second option, as much as I love McCaffrey, and I'd probably still pick McCaffrey first, when you were talking about Kelce, first one that hit my mind is Bijan Robinson.
Whoa.
He would
That's
be one.
wild.
Yeah.
Whoa.
You take him late first round. You got to think. There are not a lot of dual threat.
First overall, you would take Bijan Robinson?
I might. To be honest, I would take the
Why?
risk because he's a solid, solid floor. He's a solid floor. He has a high upside ceiling. He does have a high upside ceiling. But I'm like, he has a very solid beginning. He pass catches. He's healthy, fresh, 21-year-old legs. 22-year-old, I forgot how old he is. That would be my sleeper number one pick, I feel like.
I want to be in your league, so you take me in the first
Yeah, I mean, I would
round.
love to play against you and
I'm
just
saying,
take
if we
advantage
come
of that
back
all
here
day.
in April and he's a league leader or a league winner.
They re-signed
I'll buy you
Cordero
Chick-fil-A.
Patterson, which is going to take away from his targets. Yeah. The offensive line is awful. And Bijan Robinson, it's just like it's going to be so much pressure on this young kid to carry the entire offense.
But you also got to think, Justin Jefferson is getting a lot of double coverage, and they just got Jordan Addison. So Jordan Addison has been showing up. I mean, he's going to show up. So they're going to take targets away from Justin. Justin will still get a bunch of yards. Don't get me wrong. He's going to get a bunch of yards. I know I'm upset with you. But I still think Jordan Addison's going to take away, and Cordell Patterson's getting old. I mean, in all fairness, they got Tyler Algier, and he still was
He ran for 1,000 yards last year, Tyler Algier did.
Yeah. And now they're taking away, and they're getting Bijan. And on top of that, Cordell, I know, Pat's like looking at me like I'm crazy. But I think also Cordell's
crazy.
injured as well. I'm just saying that's my top pick. My actual pick CMC, but if I had to go sleeper, I'd go Bijan because that's
Sleeper for the number one
Yeah.
overall pick. Got it, Brian.
absolutely.
I don't even know if I'd be willing to take Bijan like first round. I would be afraid
I'd
to
take
take
Tony
him.
Pollard over Bijan.
Absolutely. Tony Pollard.
Tony
Man,
Pollard.
catches passes, gets the ball. No more Zeke.
more
He's going to
Zeke.
get the ball on
Dude's
top.
been better than Tony. I'm not saying he's going to take over
It's
his
the
job.
preseason.
All right. Lots and lots of hot takes from today's episode, but that's what we love about the Extra Point. Shout out to all of our new panelists on the show. So we had 4 freshmen come in and step up for tonight. So much fun. Obviously, we had old pal Daniel over here. Great, it was a great time. Seriously. So we'll see how well some of these takes age. But once again, I'm your special guest host, Patrick Driscoll. Griffin Barfield will be manning the reins next time. And thank you so much for tuning into the Extra Point. I'll see you guys next week.